Hello, AniCod here, and today I'm bringing you a very late Rainbow Six Siege update video. It's actually the Year 4 Season 4.3 update. Get that for a tongue twister. It's actually someone called YAYYY that's asked me to do the recent buffs and nerfs, so that's exactly what I'm doing. If there's any videos you want me to make, just leave a comment down below and I'll get right on it and do it as fast as I can. So the major update in this then is actually the ADS, and I've actually got it all together for you to have a look at, and all aiming down sight has actually increased for assault DMRs, SMGs, LMGs, as you can see. Some by up to 50% for the SMGs. The big ones and the major ones is actually the second slots. A lot of people used to change to the secondary weapon and just run round, especially with Sledge's little SMG-11 that used to shred magazines like it's going out of fashion. The kick is incredible on it, but what a hell of a weapon that thing is. So apart from that then, there's actually a couple more updates, and again, Blackbeard's had it in the face. So if you notice by the footage you're seeing now, the ADS without the shield is actually reasonably fast. It's pretty decent. As soon as you attach the shield, you automatically slow down and the ADS is painful. The reason they've done this is because when Blackbeard especially first come out, you used to just spawn in, instantly attach a shield and the job's a good one. But now they're making you decide when you want to attach your shield. I think for this to be effective, they've got to actually buff Blackbeard a little bit again. He used to be god tier, now is absolute bottom. One bullet can just completely shred. Oh, by the way, here's the little SMG-11 I was telling you about. Hell of a weapon. Getting shot in the back, just ignore that. So Blackbeard used to be one hell of a operator, and now is not so much anymore. So if you remember, Jaeger, they've actually dropped his damage, which is just incredible. I'm not entirely sure why they've done that, but they've dropped it from 43 down to 38. And remember when he got his ACOG removed? Well, there's actually another operator now that's also had their ACOG removed. Yeah, as you can see, it's Maestro. I think Maestro's taking a bit of a kicking as well, and I think maybe on the next update he's probably going to take a weapon damage nerf again, if it's anything that Jaeger's got to go by. They seem to be debuffing the defenders quite aggressively, to be honest. I can understand why, but again, yeah. Anyway, another one then is Finker, and it's actually increased the damage on Finker from 38 up to 42, which I think is a really good good buff for Finker, especially when Nomad's ARX 200 308 is actually 47 damage. Don't really make much sense for a different 308 to be in the 30s, but there you go. I know it's all down to weapon balancing, so it can't be helped. But anyway, there's also an FMG 9 fix for knock, which is really good. So if you use knock, his damage has improved from 30 up to 34, which is an incredible buff. There's going to be a lot more people using FMG 9s. By the way, if you haven't unlocked knock yet, Smoke's also got FMGs. So the next one then is Ying, and Ying has got major updates. This update has pretty much been based around Ying, to be honest. Candelas, if you know what they are, they're basically the little flashbang things. It's got a new outline on it that Ying can see. Its distribution of the cluster flashes, they're a lot more reliable than they used to be. The pellets inside used to be 6, but now there's 7 inside. It also actually fires 1 pellet at the ground floor sort of level, 3 at a sort of hip level, and 3 at the head sort of level. So the spread is much more better as well. The pellet detonation time's been reduced to 0.3 seconds, and it used to be 1 full second, so it's less than half a second now until it detonates, and that's on the throw. On the deploy, it's 2.5 seconds, which is just incredible, really. Pellets that bounce on environmental things like bookcases, blah de blah, whatever it is, they now maintain the velocity. They used to like bounce off things, lose the velocity, hit the floor and detonate on the floor. They won't do that anymore. The reason I think they've done that is to keep the pellets at the specific heights that they're aiming to be. So for example, if one fires out at sort of head height and it's a lampshade, it's not going to drop to the floor. So another minor one for Ying, to be fair, is the candela explosion. There's some slight visual effects improvements. I haven't really seen that myself, but Ying overall on this update, I think this operator is going to be very useful unusable. The operator's always been relatively strong, but I think this is an incredible buff. So there's also been quite a few bug fixes as well. One of the main gameplay bugs that I noticed, a lot of people thought it wasn't a bug, but it definitely was, is some attackers could go through barricaded windows while attempting to hot breach without detonating the actual breach charge. So that means you got into the room in perfect silence and held the tactical advantage. Some people actually mastered this completely, so they didn't detonate it at all and they could get completely through the window, which was just crazy. Not thinking that were a bug were just mental. But yeah, that's been fixed. You can no longer do that. Some people used to call it ninja breaching, soft breaching, hot breaching, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, we all know that hot breaching is detonating while you're jumping through, so don't get those confused. There's been quite a few operator fixes as well, like Jackal. It wasn't able to scan footsteps while within range of a mute jammer. That's now changed and it can, which is really good. You might notice the candelas, that's used by Ying. I likely mentioned it earlier, but they used to just roll pretty much everywhere. They used to get to the edge of a staircase and roll down the stairs or down any uneven surfaces. They no longer do that and they actually stay in place, which is really good. You haven't got to look at the areas around a place when you're breaching in with the candelas. Another one is Glaz, and I've always wondered this since the days that you could adjust his sight. For some reason, his reticle were always larger and thicker than the other holographic sights used by the Russians, and that's now been fixed finally. It's took a couple of years, but it's finally been fixed. Another one then, Castle's nail gun used to remain there and it used to clip from left to right, if you can remember it, while he was deploying his armor panels. That's been fixed now, so you're no longer going to see that. There's also some level design fixes, so invisible collision at the skylight, and one what I haven't noticed but apparently was quite a big issue was the wall studs on the drywall. They never used to get destroyed when a reinforced wall were broken and then shot by Zophia's impact grenade. For some reason the struts used to stay there and not allowing you to get through, but that's been fixed. You don't have to worry about that anymore. There's also lots of user experience fixes. I'll name a few. One of them was especially annoying, but it's now been fixed, and if a player mutes a teammate, they could still hear the muted teammates after switching sides, even though the HUD says that they're muted. So you no longer have to worry about that. If it says they're muted, then they're muted. So that's a pretty nice fix. One unusual fix is one that you probably wouldn't have realised was actually broken until it's now been fixed, and that's a lot of these user experience updates. But if you remember, as you're repelling, the weapons never used to sway back and forth. They literally just stayed perfectly straight, which obviously that wouldn't be like that, so that's now been fixed. It wasn't really an issue, but you might notice it now. It's been fixed. There's plenty more, but I'm not going to go too much into it because a lot of the problems that they've fixed, most players would never have noticed. So what do I think of the updates then? Well, I think they're really good, to be honest, and I think Rainbow Six Siege is definitely heading in the right direction. So you might think, how can it be a good update when they've nerfed every weapon in the game with the ADS in? Well, remember, if they nerf every weapon in the game, then it's not really a nerf, it's just an overall adjustment. A nerf is when they alter one or two weapons and make them worse, keep the other ones the same to give them a little bit more of an edge. They haven't done that. They've literally opened themselves up to more adjustments by slowing every weapon down, and I think that's a really good thing because it gives a lot of scope for further improvement. Blackbeard, I just feel like they're making him worse and worse, and I can't help but think that when he first came out, it was an absolute god, and you've seen today that one bullet can just destroy your shield now. It's pointless even having a shield on there. You might argue that one bullet matters and it only takes one bullet to kill someone, and that could be the bullet that was a headshot. Yeah, you're right, but look at the size of the shield, and if you catch one bullet right on the edge of a shield, you don't even have to be peeking fully, and it's going to destroy your shield before you even looked around the corner. And there's a lot of Blackbeard players out there what will actually back me up on that. And when there's so many operators how they are now, Blackbeard, in my opinion, has gone from top tier to absolute bottom tier, and there's a hell of a lot of really good powered operators out there, and it's almost making no sense at all to use Blackbeard. He's not one for me anymore, I'm afraid. Jaeger, I'm really upset that they've reduced his damage. One of Jaeger's main selling points is that he was probably the only defender using an attacker weapon, so to speak. He even used to have an ACOG, if the people watching this video can remember the good old days. And now they've just got rid of his ACOG. Well, not just, they got rid of his ACOG a long time ago, and now they've nerfed his weapon as well. And I know why they're doing it, and it's to balance him him off with YAYYY, so more people choose him. I don't think it's going to work. I think once a Jaeger, always a Jaeger. I'm probably wrong, but there you go. And while we're on the topic of that, again, I know I mentioned it lightly earlier, but Maestro is getting the same treatment as Jaeger and getting his ACOG removed. I think the next update might see a nerf as well on his weapon damage, to be fair, but we'll see. So if you like the video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. I promise to get these out much sooner in future. I know it's been a while since the actual update, but I was asked to make it, so here we go, I've made it. If anyone else wants me to make any specific videos, just leave it down in the comments and I'll get straight on it as fast as I can. I try and get these videos out once a week. Obviously sometimes it takes a little bit longer because I have got other content to get out as well. I do enjoy blowing stuff up, so feel free to check out my other videos as well. If you don't want to miss any of these videos, feel free to hit subscribe. It shows me a lot of support, and again, thanks for watching.